One of the initial things with the client's brief is that they kind of challenge us in terms of wanting a little bit more solidity in their house than we're probably used to in some of our other projects. So investigating how to make a heavy house seem light was probably what we were working with. So it was kind of leaving materials in their most natural state and kind of a semi-rawness, so that the cement render had the hands of the renderers in the actual finish, and it had a patina that was not perfect, along the lines of the Japanese philosophy of Wabi-Sabi, which is finding the beauty in the imperfection.
There was a must-have that they wanted to be able to sit in bed and see the ocean. A little bit tricky in that it's quite a narrow street frontage, so we chose to put their main bedroom at the back of the site, but it was really important that they could actually see through and that the other spaces were transparent to be able to see the ocean. The slope was probably about 1 in 3, 1 in 4, quite steep, steeper than a driveway was allowed to be. One of the important things was actually to be able to dig into the site, to be able to get the vehicles underneath the house, and then also to create a really protected space from the southeasterlies. So one of the first things we kind of did in the diagram was to make a courtyard space where the pool would be accommodated.
Open to north.
And open to the north, and to create a sort of a private oasis, really, more than a place for looking out to the east.
Bringing the landscape back into the site was a key thing to create that sense of opening up to landscape. So there's a series of courtyards. The front sort of dunescape was kind of reinstated and done in such a way that the basement would be concealed from the street. And then the central courtyard introduces the water reflections and that beautiful light quality. And then there's the bathing courtyard, which is probably the most private of the courtyards, and it's just this lush jungle. That's the point about the site, is it's really manipulating the breezes and kind of controlling the wind. So it was incredibly important to have a series of layers on the eastern facade, which kind of gave you unlimited possibilities in terms of how you would open up the space to allow more breeze in or privacy.
We actually liken it a little bit to a yacht, so that when you're sailing and you want to go a certain direction, you adjust the rigging. And in this situation, we can adjust the louvers at the high level and they can stay open most of the summer. And then you can adjust louvers or windows at lower levels so that you can funnel the air up through and create a really occupiable space.
And then in the winter, you kind of close the louvers so you don't let the warm air out.
A lot of the details in a house like that, where you're walking barefoot most of the time, you just come up from the beach. You know, flush thresholds are really important to us, to have that extension of the inside to the outside. But trying to reduce the maintenance of materials is always an issue in places where it's so exposed to the weather. It's a very saline environment, so we had to consider salt corrosion in a lot of the selection of materials. The aluminium doors and windows are obviously the most salt corrosive protected out of other finishes, and that particular one was coastal sea breeze, which has a higher micron rating, which will just protect it for so much longer than a normal anodised aluminium.
Design doesn't just finish in the drawings, and it's so critical to have that involvement through the construction process.
We had a really good relationship with the window and door subcontractor, and he was very interested in discussing the crafted detail of how each element was juxtaposed to another, the thresholds, the connections to the walls and ceilings. So it really helped in that respect, and their shop drawings were fantastic. It was a very collaborative approach, actually. Permeability is a really important thing, just to be able to achieve the ventilation aspects that you need in natural ventilation of a dwelling, but also in the visual permeability, and part of that is going back to the idea of being able to see the ocean from most spaces in the whole house.
It kind of connects you to I guess the natural order of things. If there's a sudden Queensland thunderstorm, you should still be able to keep everything open, and it's just thundering rain out there, and you just smell the rain and enjoy that as an experience.